Umpteen times we have heard this passage being read at the Eucharistic celebration, and some of us surely must have taken it for our prayer, for our reflection. The passage very beautifully speaks about giving importance to the house of prayer, namely a church, a synagogue, or a temple. Jesus, in a way, brings to the mind of his listeners and to each of us in our own context to become person of sobriety, give importance to sanctity, and comprehend sacredness. The word sobriety means to be sober in our ways. In our colloquial way, we say he or she is sober, only evening a little bit different. Here, sobriety in the context of the temple premises basically means one should not be carrying bags as one enters the temple. One should be devoid of any luggage or things, because the focus should be on Yahweh, on God, on Jesus. Sobriety also means that person is not filled with a lot of tension and worries, but rather submits, surrenders those tensions, worries into the hands of God. That is why Jesus, in a way, brings to the mind of his listeners, to each of us, to be light-hearted, not to be carrying weights along with us. Sanctity means holiness. Every place of worship invites us to grow in holiness. And the premises of any place of worship gives us an aura of grace to receive that holiness, to be sanctified by the presence and the needs of that place. One should not be worried about whether this part is not painted or that part is not painted, or that fan is not working, or this one is not singing properly. But rather, one ought to focus on God. In the context of the Eucharistic celebration, focused on the altar. Listen to the gospel or the readings that are read. Listen to the homily or the word that is broken. In that context, one will be sanctified and one will grow in holiness. Sacredness basically means that we leave all our worries and concerns in submission to God. That we, in a way, as we come closer to the Sancto Sanctorum, the holy place, that we walk and come in the presence of God. And if you have noticed, many of our churches, chapels, or sacred places have steps, and one enters to the sacred place, Sancto Sanctorum, leaving behind one's own cares, so to say. Take, for example, our church in Panjim has a lot of steps. It is not to create pain or burden for the devotee or the person. It is basically as one climbs and moves closer and closer to the altar of the Lord, one leaves behind his own sinful past and comes in this Sancto Sanctorum with grace and dignity. As you come for celebration of the Eucharist over here, you also climb the stairs. And as you climb the stairs, one ought to see, how can I leave behind my own sinful past? The nitty-gritties that disturb our relationship, maybe in the family or maybe among ourselves, should be left behind. We can take the example of the onion. When you peel the onion layer by layer, and when you reach to the core of the onion, it is very soft and tender. That should be our desire and concern. As I come closer and closer to the Sancto Sanctorum, the holy place, to the altar, I should leave behind. I should, in a way, become more and more light in the presence of God. And to this perspective, Jesus was inviting his listeners to become persons of sobriety, to grow in holiness by giving importance to the sacredness. What better example can we have than the martyrs of the day? 117 martyrs of Vietnam, Andrew Dunglak and companions, who in a way became sober in their ways of expressing their love for Christ and radiated that love to others by their life of holiness and by giving importance to sacredness. As we take part in the Eucharistic celebration, we pray through the martyrs of Vietnam that we may truly be imbued by the life, values, and virtues of Jesus and thereby grow in holiness.